Welcome everyone to another edition of the Focus TV. We're joined tonight by Xavier Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardo Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarpe Jr. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 26 of the Focus TV. Quite a bit to get through. We're going to start with the Mystics. So, Ray, the floor is yours. Again, we weren't here that last week, so, with some of these segments, we're doing a little bit of leg work trying to catch everybody up for those of you that weren't following last week.
All right. Well, they're currently on a two-game win streak. They beat Phoenix and Chicago recently. Um, they're still trying to totally figure it out. You know, they still having issues making shots, man, and that's evident because they're the lowest scoring team in the league. And that shouldn't be the case with this team. They're far too talented to be in that position. But adversely, they're statistically the best defensive team in the league. Which is what's been carrying them to the 7-4 record so far. So if their offense just picks up a little bit, man, they'll be in a much better spot. But yeah, like I said, man, the outside shots just have not been falling. Ariel Atkins did wake up for one game, and she's kind of been rounding the shape the past couple games too, be getting to the mid range a little bit more. But yeah, pretty much the bulk of their offense is coming from Elena and Shakira. And teams are starting to game plan around that. We saw Shakira hit a rough spot for a couple games. The scout report starting to catch up a little bit. But she rebounded nicely in the past two games. So yeah, man, they just got to start making shots. It's pretty much just as simple as that. Defensively, man, is not much to complain about. Sometimes teams do get in the lane a little bit too easily. That's concerning at times, given their defensive talent on the perimeter. But yeah, when you're expecting your defense to carry you through each and every game, then you're going to have some lapses, and it's going to be even that much more evident when the offense is sputtering like it is. But yeah, man, they've been showing some grit and showing some fight. They just got to find themselves offensively and get into a groove. But yeah, man, they're kind of around in shape. Like I said, they're 7-4. That's good for fourth place in the W right now. Some personnel news. Lee Ming, she's going to be gone for 2 weeks, competing overseas. So they signed Abby Meyer to a hardship contract for that time. Ming, she's been great off the bench all season. She's been one of the most consistent players. So yeah, hopefully Meyer can come in and fill that void. But yeah, man, we just we just want the basket to open up a little bit, man. That's all we ask. It's not too much. But yeah, once those shots start falling, it's going to be a different looking team. They're going to have another dimension to their offense. So yeah, hopefully that'll start to take shape soon.
All right, and we know they're taking on Chicago again Thursday night on the road. So we'll see you guys for Mystics Outlook following that game. Opportunity, as Ray mentioned, is 7-4. Opportunity to get to 8-4. Again, we've seen the Mystics over time under the Tebows kind of just gradually get better outside of injuries, knock on wood. So we'll see what happens on Thursday night. All right, Cardell, it's an interesting time of year. Usually the Wizards don't get brought up too much. However, the NBA draft is this week, and if you've been under a rock, maybe you missed some other news. So please inform the good people.
Yeah, they pushed the button that you've been begging them to push for the last 2 years. That's pretty much what's happened. A lot of moves been made, but the biggest one obviously is the Wizards finalizing a trade to send Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns for a package that includes Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, several second-round picks, and pick swaps. The Wizards also agreed to send Jordan Goodwin and for Isaiah Todd to the Suns in that trade. Second move, obviously, from the Wizards is Kyle Kuzma has declined his $13 million player option, will become a free agent. Kuzma is expected to be one of the most prominent players to hit free agency this summer, after averaging 21.2 points and 7.2 rebounds per game last season. What are your thoughts on Brad Beal saying I'm out of here? Start where you want. It don't even matter. You can
I'll go
start.
first. I would say I'll go first because I'll probably keep it briefer than everybody else. Um, Honestly, it's about time. I mean, I'm sure they're probably kicking themselves for the contract he signed last year, I think it was. And I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't think we're surprised because I mean, honestly, it's been tough for him here. I think it's been tough for him to be the lead, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Obviously, it's been tough for him to stay healthy enough to actually play consistently as well. So it's like you said, it's like that time they finally just decided to press the button. I mean, they got new GM, and obviously he's going to start from scratch. Which honestly, I feel like the Wizards should have been done because they've been trying to put band-aids on this thing for a while, and it really hasn't worked. So I'm interested to see what they do. You know, if they're really going to be a type of organization that's now really going to try to build a team through the draft and actually develop talent and consistently. So, I mean, you put him in a situation where the one thing that he wanted to do really is get in the playoffs, try to get a ring. We don't know what will happen out there in Phoenix because I think last I heard they only have five players signed. So they got a lot of work to do themselves, but not surprised. It's just nice to see a fresh start for him and for the organization.
Wilson.
A couple years too late, I'd say. But you guys been hearing me say this for a while, so not a shock to anybody here. But I'm not surprised. New management, like you just took over, you got to clean up, a mess. Why not start at ground zero? I've been laughing at some of the overreactions about what people like about what they got back, in exchange or whatever. But it's kind of like, what did y'all think was gonna happen once you took the blue pill of giving him that money? When you probably could have flipped him beforehand, possibly for something. But coming off a year when you play 50 games, y'all don't make the play in. At least a couple years ago, maybe there was a question of maybe he could be the guy. Right now, I feel like people know the answer to that, which means that contract hits a little bit differently now, and the value's different. And again, for a new regime, yeah, you do what you got to do. That's step one of clearing the books, like kind of trying to get to ground zero. I'm interested to see what the corresponding moves are. We know Chris Paul got moving the deal. What they actually end up doing with Chris Paul. Does he stay here for the season? Does he stay here until the trade deadline? Does he get flipped before then? I just think this was step one for a much needed rebuild. But again, it's a couple years too late. However, new management, just Wizards fans, like, take a deep breath, man. Like, it wasn't going to be pretty after he signed that deal, and he was eventually going to be moved. It wasn't going to be like none of this was going to. You weren't going to get the the Rudy Gobert, Kevin Durant type value. That just like that dream. I've seen some of y'all on Twitter. That just was never going to happen here. So.
All right.
Yeah, like Wilson said, man, this needed to be priority number one for the incoming front office. Like, we gave you the money. You've done your service. We bid you good fortune in the wars to come. See you on the flip side. Like, it is what it is, man. You gotta show people that you're serious about winning. And I don't mean to be harsh, but getting rid of him in that contract was the first step to showing you're serious about winning. Because I mean, they just haven't been doing that since he's been, in the driver's seat. So, and then like Wilson said, man, it's no way they were getting a respectable haul back. For one, had they done this 2 years ago, they would have. But he's been able to drive his value down the past 2 years, and he was in complete control of where he was going to go. So even if another team did offer something better than what Phoenix did, he had complete autonomy over that decision because there's no trade clause. So just figure out where he wants to go, get him there, take back whatever, and move on with your life. Like it's like Wilson said, man, there was no happy ending. And if you thought it was going to be, then you just haven't been paying attention. Like the Wizards put themselves in a bad situation, and now somebody's got to come in and clean up the mess. And kudos to Winger and those guys, man, just for coming in and handling business. I mean, it is what it is at this point. You know, you tried, didn't work. Let's move in another direction and try to get this thing going in the right way as soon as possible.
Yeah, for me, since Bill was given the keys to the franchise, when they traded Wall, Wizards are 104 and 132 over the last 3 seasons, with one playoff run that they got in there where Russ was on the team, but it wasn't like he was leading. It was when Russ came back and sparked those boys into the playoffs. So look, man, he is what he is, and we've been saying he ain't that dude, which further makes the, when I went to the press conference when Winger was introduced and Ted just announced, like, I'm totally distancing myself from basketball decisions altogether, is on him. That just shows that even he had to look in the mirror and just say, I don't know what the hell I've been doing the last few years. And it also shows that the way he kicked Wall out the door, you should have probably valued him a lot more, because y'all talk about Band-Aids. He covered up a lot of ills for a lot of years to at least keep the team respectable. They were in the playoffs consistently. They were competing in the second round. They had a couple of opportunities to even get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You see what I'm saying? That was Wall leading the way. And we all know about, he's even admitted his mistakes. But if the most you got to worry about him is going to the club at night, man, that's better than most. There's other franchises going through a lot more. You see what I'm saying? And not delivering that. They can't even get on the floor, let alone lead their team to the playoffs, even to the playoffs. And it just goes to show you, man, just because you get a contract don't mean you built for that. And, we in the building, man. We see what's going on. Everybody else could be on simp time and press row and whatnot, but it was disgusting a lot. And I'm not even talking about what's on the floor. Just, to be real, I kind of lost respect for Bill at the end of the year, because he could have came back and played if he wanted. But you could tell he wanted to preserve his body, because he knew exactly what he was trying to do. He knew what time it was, man. And I'm like, you basically left the team hanging. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all started tanking and all this. It just got bad at the end, man. Everything. At some point, you gotta have integrity for the game. You know how I say, you don't want to piss off the guys of basketball and all that. That old saying or whatnot. At some point, you gotta have integrity for yourself and just being professional. That's what I loved about Wall, and that's why when Bill got traded, it was just like, when Wall got traded, people were pissed. You're like, hold on, what? Like, and what I'm saying? And Bill undercut him allegedly, because Wall said in that interview, he said, we're gonna run it back one more time, and he said, I gotta think about it. What? Like, are you serious? Like, it was, and then he ended up being the guy that very thing that Ted accused Wall being. Well, yeah, we got a more professional guy. The guy he put his faith in was the one that wasn't the most professional or loyal, because all he did was undercut the Wizards. Once he got that bag, and then he played on Ted. Ted is a businessman. We know that. He's not a basketball guy. He's a businessman. But he played on that. And he played on the fact that he knew Ted wouldn't want to trade him, because what would be the draw to get people in seats? You see what I'm saying? Like, if we ain't going to win, at least have a notable player that we can market, and people in the area will come and watch the games. I could still make a little money off of it. He knew Ted was scared of that. So he played, he did what his agent's a beast, man. Like, gotta give him credit. He played the Wizards. He played Tommy. That's why Tommy's unemployed. Let me get that $250 and no trade clause. He's the only one in the league with that. The only one. And we all know, we can name quite a few players that deserve that over him. Because at the end of the day, what has he done to deserve all that power? So the Wizards had no leverage. So what we saw in the last couple of years, the lack of leadership and people just like you know, they knew what was going on, but they were quiet about it. They weren't speaking up. The one guy who did speak up, Spencer Dinwiddie, they got rid of him because he was starting to become a problem and really speaking on the BS around here. And anybody that would speak up, they got they got sent out. So it was just a mess, man. And the GM, man, he was just trying to protect himself. Old GM Tommy, he was trying to protect himself instead of holding these guys accountable, man. And they paid for it dearly. He paid for his job. Like, he did such a bad job. And it's not even the Bill situation. KCP got a ring. Thomas Bryant got a ring. You feel what I'm saying? Rui went to LA. Rui was the smart one. He said, I'm out here. This bad. Went to LA. Come on, man. He gonna get him a nice bag. All these former Wizards, which is pretty much the history of this team, they go elsewhere, and they prove to be a lot more valuable than what they were able to show here. But the funny thing is, we were like, why are these people starting in front of Rui? We were questioning it the whole time. Like, are y'all really trying to win? What's going on here? See what I'm saying? So all that was under Tommy's watch, man. And you know what I'm saying? And he got fired for other stuff off wax that I can't put out there, but it's just bad. And it'd be hard pressed for me to see him get another job in NBA, period, for the totality of how bad things were with this. Because right now, the Wizards, it feels like they're back in early 90s Bullets mode. Like, we hope they can get 20 games next season. I'm serious. Like, who they gonna market? Denny and Kispert? Those gonna be the go-to guys next year. I'm just keeping it real. It's that bad. Or the first the pick that they're gonna have on Thursday, you know, which we're gonna talk about later on. That's it. And it's just like it's bad. It's bad. It's about as bad. So they had no choice but to blow it up. They had no leverage in this situation. So anybody getting mad at what they got back, how could they negotiate anything? I mean, what? Take on some bad deals and kind of be in the same place you can't maneuver and stuff. Like, they had no leverage. Bill played the hell out of them, and that's why you've seen so many heads roll. The G League coach, he went to Utah, the head coach. Like, I don't think people understand how it affected the entire organization. A lot of people left or were let go. You see what I'm saying? And it may not even be over, depending on his GM and the new president, as they keep, going through the team just to see who needs to go, who needs to stay. And we all knew that time was coming, man. So, respect to them for finally doing it. And I respect Ted for just admitting, man, I ain't a basketball dude. I got to get out the way. You know what I'm saying? And because a lot of owners don't do that. Raise a fan of one that don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just serious like that, man. But I hope these dudes can draft well, because this could be years of being at the bottom. And now that they've done this, I'm talking about the new president, Winger, and all those guys, new GM. Now it's going to be all eyes on them. Like, y'all got to start drafting, because ain't no free agents coming here. Like, no, unless you just overpaid for someone, you luck up, you overpaid for one and they just blow up. You know what I'm saying? Something you get lucky. You got to draft well. And they're new to DC. They got to understand this is a basketball heavy town. You're not going to be able to hire like you did in OKC if you don't draft well. It's year 7 and still, and then Wizards is still at the bottom. Heads going to roll. You're going to hear from the city. So you're going to see how I go, but it just need to be done, man. Time was up, and that dude was not the dude. Now he's a very good third option, and he could just fit in that role and be happy.
Again, I hate to be the person. All it is just could have been avoided. Worst part is you kind of knew who he was because he was here. Like, y'all knew. But, hey, it is what it is. Like Cardell said, we're going to talk about what they might do later this week, a little bit later in this show. And, we're going to take our first break, and we'll be back. You guys are watching the Focus TV. We will return shortly. Got some DC United updates, and then, probably extending around a rapid fire a little bit later on in tonight's show. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, DC United update for you all. They played 2 games between the last time we spoke to y'all and today actually. Wrong standings. DC United, the first game was on the road. They fell to Atlanta United. The Black and Red would surrender a goal just 13 minutes in. 14 minutes later, they would even things up courtesy of a goal by Texie Fountas. Chris Durkin had the assist. Then Atlanta scored in the 49th minute and again in the 73rd minute to cap off that 3-1 victory. DC United would come home to host Real Salt Lake. The visitors went up 1-0 in the 41st minute, and it finally happened. This is something people have been concerned with or been waiting for this moment to happen all season long. Some of the highlights, earlier this year, you've seen DC United's keeper just like leaving the line, coming out the box, being uber aggressive. Well, he paid for it this time. Pablo Ruiz hit a 60-yard chip shot over the head of the keeper because he was off his line. It happened. 60 yards. He was like 2 steps behind midfield. And again, Tyler Miller's been playing, I want to say reckless, but this is how he's been playing this year. Wayne Rooney's mentioned this several times. No one is shocked that this happened. Let me put it like this. People probably thought this would have happened earlier this year. Because again, usually what they've been doing at the back line, they play out the back. And he's almost like an extra defender at times. As the ball gets sprayed out wide, he leaves the line and comes all the way out the box. There's been some hairy moments. But this one, a 60-yard chip shot, it's a tough one to stomach there. 10 minutes later, which was 6 minutes into the second half, they went up 2-0. Chris Durkin brought DC within 1 goal in the 53rd minute. But DC United had a couple other opportunities, but they just couldn't capitalize. Real Salt Lake also had some opportunities. They didn't capitalize either, but the back-to-back losses put DC United at 6-8-5 on the year, which has them in 8th place. Up next, DC will host FC Cincinnati on Saturday at Audi Field. So they got an opportunity. They're going to be seeing a familiar face, Luciano Acosta, but they have an opportunity to get back on the winning side of things if they win, if they can get the result they desire this week. They're moving to 7-8-5 on the year. Again, still trying to stay ahead of that magical line that says you're not in the postseason, which, you're up and down. You just don't want to be touching that line right now. They got a little bit of room, but you don't want a third straight loss, things you can't afford at all. So we'll check back in with you guys next week for what DC United has done. Again, they host FC Cincinnati this week, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. at Audi Field. And we'll talk about this next week. Going to take our second break. When we get back, we're going to see what Cardell has for us in Rapid Fire. Welcome back to the Focus TV. All right, Cardell, I know a lot has been happening. What you got for us?
Let's start on the NBA side of things. The NBA recently announced that they will be suspending Ja Morant for 25 games. In a statement, the league affirmed that Morant intentionally and prominently displayed a gun while in a car with several other individuals as they were leaving a social gathering in Memphis. Morant, the NBA said, wielded the firearm while knowing that he was being recorded and that the recording was being live streamed on Instagram Live, despite having made commitments to the NBA and public statements that he would not repeat the conduct for which he was previously disciplined. Ja Morant's decision to once again wield a firearm on social media is alarming and disconcerting given his similar conduct in March, for which he was already suspended 8 games, said Silver. The potential for other young people to emulate Ja's conduct is particularly concerning. Under these circumstances, we believe a suspension of 25 games is appropriate and makes clear that engaging in reckless and irresponsible behavior with guns will not be tolerated. In a separate statement, Morant once again apologized, vowing to make it up to the fans he is disappointed. Later, the NBPA issued a firm statement in support of Ja Morant on Friday on the heels of him getting a 25-game suspension for holding a gun on Instagram Live. NBPA Executive Director Tamika Tremaglio labeled the discipline imposed on Morant as excessive and inappropriate, citing specifically the NBA's requirement of the 23-year-old to fulfill unstated conditions before he can return. The NBPA also declared that they intend to work with Morant going forward as he deals with the discipline. Quote, Ja has expressed his remorse and accepted responsibility for his actions, and we support him unequivocally as he does whatever is necessary to represent himself, our players, and our league in the best possible light. As to the discipline imposed, which keeps him off the court until December and requires some unstated conditions to be met before he can return, we believe it is excessive and inappropriate for a number of reasons, including the facts involved in this particular incident, and that it is not fair and consistent with past discipline in our league. Two-part question. Obviously, I'm gonna start with you, Octavia. Just what are your thoughts on the suspension from Adam Silver? Do you feel like it should have been longer, or is you okay with it? And how do you feel about the NBPA coming out in support of John Morant after all the consistent situations he's put himself in?
Okay, so as far as the length of the suspension, I'm okay with it, and I would have been okay if it was longer, to be honest. Like, I'm fine if they decided 25 games was what they just what they thought was fair. I'm cool with that. I would have been fine if it was longer, to be honest, because at this point it's just ridiculous. Like, I really don't have any words for the situation when it comes down to it, because it's not an accident or anything like that. It's by choice. So you're doing these things by choice after you literally just got suspended for 8 games, as well as had this long drawn out conversation with Adam Silver. You did interviews with Jalen Rose. You did this whole apology tour. You checked yourself into all these things to come right back and do it again. So, I mean, I understand the NBA and Adam Silver basically feel like it's a slap in the face. Like, we literally just had this conversation. Like, it's not even a different situation. It's the exact same one. So I'm fine with the suspension. I would have been fine if it was a little bit more, because I do feel like at times they might need to show to prove a point at a certain time. He's young, and I think, and granted, I don't think being young is an excuse, but I'm saying it as far as him being young and maybe not really understanding the gravity of the situation. So yeah, it's fine to me for the 25 games even longer. You would think he understands the gravity of the situation. I think they said he lost, I don't even know how much money he lost, but he lost a lot of money. So I don't know how much. I think they're grasping at straws to try to figure out, like, how can we actually really make him understand the gravity of the situation. As far as the NBPA, honestly, I'm not surprised. If anything, I'm surprised because I can't remember if he's a president or vice president, CJ McCollum. Like, I feel like I've heard enough about him and kind of, I don't know him personally, obviously. I feel like he has a higher, standard. But, at the same time, I feel like they always just have to back each other. And I just think that kind of goes in this whole player empowerment movement as well. So I'm not so surprised about that. But it's just like, at this point with John Morant, like, I'm a huge John fan. I think he's a great player. I want him to be just as great of a person as he is. I'm not saying he's a terrible person. He made a mistake, yes, but I mean, we can't continuously do this in the position that he's in. For me, I don't do lip service when it comes to this. Like, the whole apology again was a little redundant to me. Like, I don't believe it at this point. Like, only thing that will really show anything is actions. So we'll see how this goes again. Hopefully he doesn't do it again, but who knows? I think I saw a post where now he's claiming that the gun that was in the video was a lighter, which obviously to me makes it sound dumber. The fact that now you're really, like, you were faking on Instagram with a lighter. So that doesn't even make your story sound any better. It's just a lot going on with him. So I'm hoping that he can get himself together and just play ball. So, we'll see what happens. But answer to the question, I'm cool with the 25 games, and the NBA PA, they're always going to protect each other, I feel like.
And answer your question as far as how much money he's going to lose with the new deal that's going to kick in July 1st for next season, the new 5-year deal. He already lost $39 million because he didn't make All NBA, so it went down from 231 to 192. So he's going to missing 25 games. He's going to lose $304,000 per game, and which means it'll equal to 7.6 million. So he's going to lose 7.6 million over those 25 games.
For a lighter.
Yeah, for stupid stuff. But Ray, I can see you shaking your head.
Yeah, the length of the suspension, like Octavia said, I I got no problem with it. I expected it to be longer. I thought they was going to drop like 50 or something like that, or even possibly the entire season. I didn't know which way they was going to go with it. But I mean, yeah, 25 games, like that's a substantial penalty. And people are on the internet acting like it's nothing. You just brought up him losing 7 million in salary. Again, he's not gonna missing him 25 games going to make him ineligible for all NBA again. So he's not going to get that money. So yeah.
Exactly. So oh yeah, and they said, not to cut you off, serious NBA, they said in total he's gonna lose around 60 million when it's all said.
Well, you know, I heard it's 6 something because he's not gonna be able to get the Supermax.
Huh?
Because he's not gonna be able to get the Supermax if he doesn't get all NBA this year, which obviously he's not gonna be able to, right?
He has it. He signed for that, but he's just not going. That money's gone with the suspension. Like say, if he had made all NBA, he signed for 231, but he had to make all NBA, which he would have did, not for the all court stuff. So he got that, but he lost 39 million last season. So his new deal kicks in. With the suspension, he won't qualify for all NBA. So that's another 30 something, and then you losing 7.6 million, nearly 8 million off the suspension. So in a few months. Well, basically a year, you're going to lose 67. Like I said, he's single. He don't have a woman at home because it'd be drama at home. Just keep on the back. It'd be some shit when you get home. But go ahead, Ray. My bad. I'll talk later. Go ahead.
Nah, you good. But yeah, so that the money aspect, that's gotta, if anything, that part of it should guide his decision making in the future. But who knows, man? Because the fact that we're spinning the block on this again, mere months after he already had the other situation, where they kind of let him off the hook, to be perfectly honest, just with the 8 games. So, I mean, at some point, man, you got to learn your lesson. And as far as the NBA PA goes, like you can support your player and stand behind them without jumping all the way out there like that. Like, just we're supporting Ja Morant through this situation and hope he can, make better decisions moving forward. That's it. All that this is excessive type stuff, nah, man, because he's clearly in the wrong. And whatever those stipulations are, could that be considered overkill? Sure, why not? But we shouldn't even be here to begin with. So you don't even. Why are you trying to defend anything that's happening on his side? Like, so yeah, that's enabling in my eyes. Because he knows, hey, if I mess up again, they're going to try to go to bat for me. But that's a losing battle. So I would suggest that he doesn't count on that, because should he have another incident, it's a wrap. So yeah, man. But like Octavia said, man, I hope he just makes better decisions. He's obviously very talented, and you would hate to see his career get derailed because of things that don't even have to do with basketball, man. Like he's already real good at what he's here for, the on the court stuff. Like that's the biggest hurdle, man. All you got to do is keep your nose clean. So I don't know, man. I just hope for the best for him.
Oh, I think he might be frozen. But I'll go ahead and just chime in real quick. Stupid games, stupid prizes, as Ray would say. I'm no longer interested in this. I'm not surprised by the NBPA, because again, like, what are they just going with this new CBA? The new thing was to make sure, super teams don't happen. Now that I don't know what CJ and company are doing, but he's lucky David Stern is not in charge of this, because you wouldn't be seeing a basketball anymore. But the punishment, I feel like the punishment was light, because clearly whatever's happened to this point still hasn't gotten your attention. You shouldn't even be this shouldn't even be an issue right now. After the first time when they kind of let you off, and Octavia said whether it was a lighter or not, what in your head thought that would be funny? Like that's a worse explanation. That's even worse. But nah, I think it should have been a longer. suspension, honestly. But yeah, the NBPA, I don't want to hear any of that. And if you want to help him get to games, like help him get the on the court, like get to on the court, as Ray said. But talk about standing with him in what? Like he's grown, make better decisions. I don't think should be this difficult. And that A word again, that accountability word is such a horrible thing. This just isn't hard. I'm sure there's times when the player association need to step in. I am confused at this one. I truly am. But that's all I had on that.
Yeah, I agree with y'all. I was expecting more, but I also heard that the reason why they didn't give him more because technically he didn't break any laws. So if they would have tried to finish him even more, then he would have took it to a legal route. He could have took it to a legal route, and that made it kill the whole suspension thing altogether. You know what I mean? And then that would have set up a really bad precedent. So it seemed like they worked with him, like, yo, we gonna hit you, but we ain't gonna hit you as hard. But you take this and just keep it moving. I don't understand the BPA trying to defend them. I understand they got at some point you just got to hold these players accountable. Like Bray says, too much enabling. The man lied to the commissioner face. Like he lied. They had a meeting. Said I stay out of trouble, and then went back and did the same dumb. You know what I'm saying? And even with that, people blaming his friend. His friend to me did him a solid because he didn't know Ja was gonna have a gun in the video. He was just having fun, like dancing, and then next thing you know, what you got a gun? Took it down quick to try to protect him. You know what I'm saying? So anything, his friend was solid. Ja did that to himself. Ja did that to himself, man. And like I said, bro, like once I cost myself $39 million, when I say I'm on a straight and narrow, homie, like I go to the store, I get what I get, I'm going home. Like people can heckle me, I'm just gonna keep walking like I don't hear them, as long as you don't touch me. I'm going to check out and go home. Like I'm not hearing nothing. Like y'all not taking no more money out of me, dog. Especially as hard as you had to work to get to that position to earn that type of money. And you're not going to get that back, bro. That you just don't get 70 million back like that, man. Like that's what I mean by when he get older, he gonna really understand. Like, dog, I really just gave up 70 million for nothing. Like nothing. Just don't have guns on me. I'd have been fine. And and we all know David Stern would have finished. Well, David Stern would have finished him the first time, but lying to him, he definitely would have been out the league. He'd have been gone. He had to sit for a while, man. And they can be extreme with some things back in the day. Finding you for a dress code, not having a tie on and stuff. We all heard the wild stuff. I feel like Adam Silver on the other hand is too lenient. You know what I mean? And this is why you got players just abusing the rules, man. Just wilding. And like I said, man, I guess it is what it is. We got to accept it for what it is. I thought it was gonna be longer. I honestly thought like half the season. Thought it'd be like 41 games. But once they explained like the league, he technically didn't violate anything legally in Memphis or whatnot, because I think that's an open carry state, Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. There's only so much you could do. Because I think the NBPA would have helped him, take it legal against the league and whatnot. So, we'll see how it goes, man. But I really hope, he just hoops. Just play basketball, man. Just play basketball, go home. It's as simple as that. Go home, and because if you don't, the next move, you got to be gone. You know what I'm saying? Because you just wilding. You got, now you become Antonio Brown of the NBA. And, it's knocking on the door of that, dog. Like, it ain't no other way to all world talent just tripping. So we're gonna see how it goes, man. Hopefully he learns. On the lighter side of the NBA, Lou Williams, NBA's all-time leading bench scorer, retires after 17 years in the NBA. Williams was drafted in the second round in 2005 by the 76ers, for whom he played until 2012. From there, he played on 5 more teams: the Hawks, Raptors, Lakers, Rockets, and Clippers. He most recently played for Atlanta at 21-22, playing in 56 games. In 2015, 18, and 19, Williams was named the NBA Sixth Man of the Year while playing for the Raptors and Clippers, respectively. He and Jamal Crawford are the only 3-time winners of the award. Williams scored 13,396 of his 15,593 career points off the bench, marking the highest total in league history for points in a non-starting role. Crawford is second with 11,279 points. Ray, just what are your thoughts on the career of Lou Will?
I mean, what more can you ask for, man? 17 years in the league. He's solidified himself as one of the best six men all the time. He's obviously a consummate professional to be able to stick around that long. I mean, yeah, job well done. Go take a rest and be with your family. But yeah, man, it's good to see, somebody always be able to play out their entire career like that. And kudos to him for kind of accepting that bench role and, making a career out of it. Some guys' ego would have gotten away because he's talented enough to be a starter, but he was best served, or coaches felt like he was best served coming off the bench, and he embraced that. And look where he is today. So, that's a good example for players coming up, man, and of guys as well. You mentioned Jamal Crawford, guys like Manu Ginobili. Those guys have had great careers, just by simply putting their ego aside and accepting the role that was given to them. And they were basically starters in my eyes anyway, man. They played starters minutes, they finished games. The only difference is they wasn't there at jump ball. And if you're going to allow that small, minute detail to hold you back, then you don't deserve success. So shout out to him, man. The jokes are already coming in. He's going to have his jersey retired at Magic City and stuff like that. But no, man, Lou Will, he was solid, man. He's he was nice in the league for them 17 years. So kudos to him.
Wilson.
Hey man, one of the dudes that came out of high school and made a career out of it. Shout out to him for doing so, and just job well done. Like it's Ray, I think Ray laid it out perfectly. As you look around the league with a lot of folks that haven't done anything, egos out like crazy outside egos. Lou came in at a time and carved out 17 years, and you listed the accolades. That's work he put in. That meant whoever had him for a good stretch of his career, you can count on that production. Like literally count on that type of production for your bench. At least Lou's giving you whatever every night. It's crazy, consistent for that long. So shout out to him. Job well done.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I echo what both of you guys said. Like you said, it's hard, I think, for some guys to actually like put their ego aside and excel in a six-man position, because we talk about guys that play in the NBA where a lot of the times most of them were the man on their high school team, so they have that pride and possibly that ego to say like I should always be starting. And some people don't come off the bench well. We've seen it happen a lot of times in the league. So definitely kudos to him for, like you said, being a star in his role. He did what he did, and he did it well enough that he was able to parlay it into 17 years and on multiple teams, which shows that he was definitely sought after talent in the league. And a lot of people respect Lou Will and how he played the game. So, honestly, for a while, I didn't even realize it was 17 years, to be completely honest. Like I was like, dang, it's really been that long with him in the league. So, kudos to him. And, now he's able to have all the chicken wings at Magic City that he wants to, and don't got to worry about nobody saying anything. So yeah, he deserves it, and I'm always interested to see what players do after basketball. So I'll be interested to see if he, does anything basketball related as time goes on. But yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah, always respected his game. I first heard about him when I was in college. He was like one of the top players in the country, obviously. Had a big game, I think, against KD in one of them. So we was kind of keeping up. This was when YouTube was first coming out. So you just see highlights. He was extremely bouncy. People may not know. And he could fly back in high school in his young days. Between the legs, women, he could fly. Then he, as he got older, he toned his game down and just became a scoring assassin off the bench. You know what I'm saying? assassin for hire, so to speak, man. Get you anywhere, come off the bench, get you anywhere 20 to 30 with ease, and that's a hell of a thing to have on your team where you can count on that coming off the bench, man. You know what I'm saying? And even when he was young, he ain't really play that much because he was learning the ropes. It was still AI in Philly. I remember watching the little specials from my dorm, and Chris Webber and AI was heckling him, fun haze and stuff. Like he was interviewing, and then they came and poured water on him in the middle of the interview and stuff. Like just messing with him like that, man. And he took it all in stride. Even AI, AI was older. He was about to be traded in the next couple of years out to Denver, and Lou Will still had kind of that high school All-American stuff, and AI was like, man, get out there, man. You like threw him out there in the middle of practice for training. Like, go out there and get taught, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, what you standing here for? It was funny. You know what I'm saying? And people may say, well, AI, he ain't always practice hard and all that, but he was older and he was trying to get Lou Will not to follow that same path because he saw the mistake he made, and that's why Lou Will always give AI props for like really teaching them not just how to play, the tricks of the trade on how to score the ball and all that, but pushing them out there. So he went. Sometimes OGs, when I tell people the OGs got the answer to the test, it's not because they did everything right. It's about they can teach you what not to do because they did some things wrong, and that's was the example of AI teaching Lou Williams how to do things right because he did certain things wrong. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, man, it was fun, especially during the Clipper years, man. When they was going back and forth for the Warriors when KD and over there, man, he was getting to it. It ain't. And then one thing I also loved about Lou Will, and last thing about him is that he was always like refreshingly honest. Like a lot of dudes in the league, corny, man. They just give you the little PC. They already trying to go to the club. I'm like, why even talk, homie? Just keep it moving, man. But he give you some real thought out answers, man. Like and the classic ones when they pissed KD off and he torched them, and him and Patrick Beverly was in that press conference. That's like the most classic, John. He's like, I promise you, we tried. We had 7 different defenses to stop this dude. None of them worked, and that's what you get from him, man. So, job well done. I'm pretty sure he's gonna have a whole lot of accolades. He has had his jersey retired at his high school or certain. Hopefully, he gets a role in the leagues. I think he'd be good teaching some youngins because of his personality and his game and stuff. He could teach them the tricks of the trade and reach them. You know what I mean? So, excited to see what he does next, man. A hell of a play. And last question on for the night, actually a real good one, real positive one, groundbreaking. The Sacramento Kings, G League affiliate, made history today, naming Lindsey Harding, former WNBA player, as the new head coach of the Stockton Kings, and Angelali Ronaldi as the new general manager. It's the first time in G League history that 2 women will lead an affiliate team. Harding spent 4 seasons as an assistant player development coach with the Kings, and also spent time on the Philadelphia 76ers staff. She played 9 seasons in the WNBA after being picked number 1 overall in the 2007 draft out of Duke. She also has extensive experience coaching internationally. Ronaldi, 30, is the daughter of Kings owner Vivek Ronaldi, and was the Stockton Kings assistant general manager last year. She previously worked in the Kings social responsibility department and as an intern for the Golden State Warriors. Wilson, what are your thoughts on this groundbreaking move by the Kings organization?
Hey man, congrats to both of these women for their new titles. Like as you just shared, very well deserving. And shout out to the Kings for not being scared to hire who they deem best for the job. Sometimes whether I'm not talking always female, male, but just period. Sometimes we see folks recycled across sports, no matter what the position might be. Just stepping, I don't even want to say outside the box, but just being brave enough to hire whoever they felt the best candidate would be. I'm looking forward to see what both of these women do in their positions with the Kings. And again, we spent all year talking about the Kings. The growth they've been taking on the court. It's just another example of them taking positive steps as a whole, as an organization as well. But congrats to them both. I'm excited to see what they do.
Octavian.
Yeah, same. It's always nice to see, as an avid sports lover myself, to see other women get involved in the game and be rewarded for the things that they love about the sport and the knowledge that they have about the sport, and being able to be recognized, and I love the fact that stuff like this is happening more and more across all sports. But for it to be groundbreaking in a situation like this is just unprecedented. But I look forward to many more of these type of things. Again, like Wilson said, just the Kings having the courage to hire the right person, regardless of their gender, is probably the best part about it as well. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Excited to see the knowledge and stuff that they bring to their new respective roles, and looking for many more.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's just crazy that we're still having the first of these type of situations in 2023. It's like, come on, man, like it shouldn't be the case, but nevertheless, man, definitely congrats to them. And like Wilson Octavia said, man, kudos to the Kings for just hiring the best person for the job. I mean, if you know the game, you know the game, regardless of your gender. Like, I'm pretty sure there's been women capable of performing these duties before now. So, um, yeah, shout out to them, man, for being just for being forward thinking and go ahead and pulling the trigger on that. I'm definitely excited to see what they do. You just pointed out the Kings development. So yeah, man, they seem to be trending in the right direction. And I definitely don't think they would put somebody in those positions they don't think could aid that development at this stage, because they look like they one of them young teams that's ready to take over when these old dudes get out the way. So yeah, man, it's just exciting time. So yeah, congratulations to both of them, and kudos to the Kings organization.
Yeah, man. Just congrats to them. I've always been one like I don't see you, and you either can do the job or you can't. It's just as simple as that. Um, One coach who, growing up, I would have loved to play for in college, and I thought she could always coach men was Pat Summit. Like I would have her if she'd have been on the men's side, and let's say her and my favorite college coach is Gary Wilson, they've been recruiting me. It'd have been tough. You know what I mean? It'd have been tough because I just and I know I got homies that played at Tennessee when she was coaching the women's game, and they had her full respect. Like they'd be BSing, playing pickup, and she'd come down there and shut the whole run down. Be like, man, y'all need to get on y'all game, and they would get on their game. It was just like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, she was the queen. Like seriously, and then any disrespect would not be tolerated, man. You know what I'm saying? So, but that just shows you she knew the game, and we know there's plenty of females that know the game. It's just that the NBA front office, just being real through experiences of my own, it's a lot of insecurity, a lot of ego. I mean, think about it. You got men that don't even want to listen to other men because they didn't play in the league, but they could be good coaches, but they didn't play, so dudes tune them out. So it's going to be tougher for a woman because now it's like, I mean, you played in the WNBA, but you don't know what it's like to guard Embiid. You know what I'm saying? Or try to stay with Ja Morant. You ain't seeing nothing like that. So for them to ignore all that and just be like, well, she's been around, she done help players develop, she done coach here and abroad, she done put in her fair share of work. We gonna judge her off her work, off her resume, and give her a chance. That's what it should be about. And all you can do is respect that organization. That's why that organization is going up here, where just 2 or 3 years ago they were currently probably at the same position that the hometown organization is at. And ironically, not feeding into the ego is the reason why they're having success. Where if you look at the hometown situation, ego is the whole reason why this joint has imploded. So it could be a lesson learned, man. So I'm happy for these two ladies. Hopefully, they do a great job because the better job they do, the more opportunities that will be created for future women. So just because you get it, don't mean the work is done. You got to hold it down. You got to produce. Because if they don't produce, then it could have the negative effect of it. So we'll see how it goes. Definitely rooting for them.
Yes, sir. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this week. We'll see y'all next week, and don't forget, you can watch the Focus TV every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. on our Roku channel. If you have Roku television, the device, all you got to do is type in the Focus TV in the search box, double tap OK, and add the channel. If you're in the DC area, you just check your local listings for your DC TV, and you can watch the show Friday nights at 10 p.m., Saturday at 4:30 p.m., or you can just go to DCTV's website, dctv.org, and you can stream the show there. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good week.